Hey class, it's Mr. Dow, your instructor in English 103, here again with my with our class dog Crypto to talk about what's coming up in week number 3. Hope you're all still with me here and that we're all making progress at this time. Here, Crypto's your monkey. Here's your monkey. Play with your monkey. Okay. All right. So let me get small here and let's take a look at the class together. So we have just finished week number 2 here. We're starting week number 3. You can see I've got a lot of other weeks already built, or they're half built. They're not published yet. So as far as you can go is only week number 3. So this is it. So let's talk about what's happening exactly in week number 3. So let me make an actual slideshow out of this. All right. Okay. All right. Let's start this slideshow. So week number 3 online. What is coming? There's Crypto Relaxing, which I'm hoping is inspired to everybody. Inspiring to you. Here's the first thing that's going to happen. You're going to have exercise number 5, working with claim statements. This is basically continuing with the Toolman logic terms. From last week, you should have been introduced to the idea of claim, evidence, and warrant, and working with those things. I think the exercise from last week, the only exercise we did was a very short little one about trying to find the warrants, but I did have you identify the claims as well. The claim statement is the point of the argument, and the only thing I'm going to worry about in this exercise, which is pretty short, is just that you're wording a claim, or you have an idea that you need to word a claim as specifically as possible in order to avoid confusion and narrow the amount of evidence you actually need. So taking care of your language, basically, that's what that's about. Again, very short exercise, and probably the only one we'll really do just specifically on claims. Exercise 6, more Toolman practice. This is going to continue from exercise 4, where you had for a few very short arguments to find. And my main goal is just to have you find the warrants. We're going to do this for the next 3 weeks. I think you're going to have at least one exercise like this. And the arguments get a little bit longer each time. And my goal is that you are able to separate claim and evidence. I want you to do that. But the real thing you're always trying to do is get to the warrant. Can you tell me what is there but has not been stated? That's just like what we did in the inference drama exercises. It's the same idea. It takes the skill of inference. So I say expect more of these. Expect to revise on this exercise and really everyone dealing with finding the warrant. If you don't get it all right, I'm going to give you a 2 out of 5, a 3 out of 5. I'm going to say, send me another one. Let's do it again. Let's keep working on it. And my last piece of advice about this exercise is don't freak out. There's going to be more of them. I think the idea of finding the warrant is not something that comes very quickly to everybody, but we keep going with it all through the semester. So, and paper number 2 will deal with it more directly in kind of an easier to understand way. So, don't be upset if you're not quite getting it yet. It's going to take a while. The next thing you have to do is read the essay on how to integrate text support. Now, this essay is specifically about paper number 1, which we are working on, which we'll be doing in a couple of weeks. I've had you find evidence last week on paper number in week number 2 for whatever proposition you're going to support. You have to look at 2 sides of that. That's what paper 1's about, and writing a paragraph on each side. So I just said, let's just pick one topic sentence, one paragraph, show me some evidence. And I have commented on that, or I will have commented on it by the time you see this video, and you should go back and look at those comments. And if the evidence is not good, if I'm critiquing one or more, you should change them. If you're not sure how to find better evidence, you would contact me and I would help you out. But anyway, there is an essay here about what do I do when I have a topic sentence and I have support quotes. How do I integrate the support quotes so they're part of my writing? I am using something called the hamburger system. And I'm not insisting you use it. It's just, if you don't have something better than the hamburger system, I think you should use the hamburger system. I know for a fact it works at many, many different colleges and universities. It's a very basic type of quote integration technique you can take to any other school, any other class, and it's basically always going to work. So I'm gonna base that's what I'm promoting. I will use the hamburger system in one form or another for every single paper we do. Like I say, it's a very, very kind of open technique that you can apply to a lot of different situations. And the purpose of using this system as opposed to other systems is that it's part of having good evidence. You can find the evidence, but you need to present it in such a way that it's understandable. You need to validate it so that people will believe it as they read it. And really, you need to discuss it so that people understand it is connected to the source. All of that connected to the topic sentence. All of that's handled in this system, so that's why we're doing it. And that you're doing specifically to get to this, which is you must submit a draft paragraph for paper number 1 at some point by the end of the week. A few things I want to say about that. First, yeah, I do expect you to follow the hamburger system. So if you're doing it some other way, and if it's not an effective way, what I'll probably do, I'll just say, hey, go back and read that essay, or send questions. But let's work on the system as it's laid out in that essay. You do have to use the basic rules of citation. This is an MLA formatted. Essentially, it's a short research paper project. Even though there's only 2 research paragraphs, there's enough sources. We're going to need a works cited page. So I should start seeing citations in there. And if you get them wrong, I can start correcting them. Do not do this assignment. Do not do it until you have finished getting your evidence list okayed by me. So if you turn in the evidence list kind of late in week 2, and you're waiting for me to get to it, or if I've given you a 3 out of 5, you've got to resubmit, you got to wait for me to get to it. Could take a couple days, but I'll try to jump on those as quick as possible. But you want a 5 out of 5 or a 10 out of 10, whatever the points are, you want all the points before you try to write this paragraph, right? I will not ask you to show me any of the writing on this paper before it's due. I'm happy to look at it, but it's not assigned to you. It's just I figure to me, if you can get one draft paragraph done properly, you can do the other one. You don't need me to watch you go through it. On the draft paragraph for that you're turning in here, I will also do the same thing I've been doing with all this stuff. I'll ask for revisions here and there, and I'll look at the revisions, whether they're sent to me on emails or I'll just keep doing it on Canvas. So even if you get a 5 out of 5 in your draft paragraph, and I'm saying something like, this is essentially a pretty good argument in this paragraph, there are some wording and mechanics issues, I don't need to look at that in Canvas. You got the 5 out of 5. You can send that to me on an email. I'll continue to check it out. All right. Another thing you have to do is read this. This is kind of basically the last thing you have to do. Read the essay. There's a cartoon essay, which I put on a PDF flyer at the end of this week's work. So it's from a website called Wait But Why. And as you look at the essay, people look at that PDF flyer and say, what the PDF reader? And they say, wait, it's like 30-something pages. It's too long. It's not really that long. Half of this stuff is just very silly looking cartoons that take up the entire page. So I feel like it's less than that. It's half that length at the most. But this essay is touching on some of the ideas that were in the critical thinking essay, specifically about brain evolution and this concept of getting over ourselves. I think it kind of puts it together in kind of a nice way from a guy that is not an English teacher. He's really just a cartoonist and philosopher. But I thought some of that had resonance, so it's worth reading it. And you need to respond to discussion 2 is asking you directly about this essay here. I only need your opinion. It's not a big, deep thing. We have to look up the words or come up with well-reasoned arguments. It's just, what do you think about this or what do you think about that? So that's the final assignment on the list. To give you an idea what's coming after this week, I'm basically going to put these weeks up one at a time. But paper number 1 is going to be due at the end of week 5. So at the end of week 3, we're working on the paragraph, and I'll continue to look at writing. Week 4, we'll introduce the works cited page, get that going, and then at the end of week 5, that's when the paper comes in. I will introduce the concepts for paper 2 in week number 4. I'm not going to give you the assignment. I'm just going to start getting you to read stuff that will lead us to paper number 2. And paper number 2 is basically using the Toolman terms, but in an everyday kind of way. We'll be dealing specifically with advertising. We will continue to work with claim, evidence, warrant, and I'll talk about counter arguments, using short arguments just to constantly test your understanding of separating the claim from the evidence. That's a skill. Using those two together and thinking, what's the link here? What has not been stated but must be assumed to get there? Using inference. So we'll continue to do that because I think it's going to tie into everything else we do. And you might be asking, well, when are we supposed to read some literature, Mr. Dow? I thought that was there's a lit class. Yeah, it's kind of a lit class, but we will get there. Don't worry. The literature will come. So there it is. Let me get out of here and go back to me, and I'll get big again. So there it is. That's what we're doing. Hopefully you're able to keep up with me and having any troubles. If you are having troubles, you certainly want to let me know about them. Crypto, you got anything else to say to the people? Crypto, huh? Nothing? Crypto's out of frame, everybody. I think he's had enough of this. All right, everybody. Keep working. Get hold of me if you have questions. Later.